Yes, sir.
Good morning, sir. Yes,
Good
sir.
morning. Thank you. So, yesterday we were discussing about the modern methods of performance appraisal that we had completed. So, today we will be proceeding with the process of performance management. So, it comprises of 5 steps. These are general in nature. So, that we will be discussing now. First one, establish performance standards. So, we are talking about this process of performance management which should be implemented in the organization, then only we can expect that the results of performance appraisal system will be better. So it should be planned properly. So how that process is, that we are now to establish performance standard, that what is the benchmark which is set by the organization for the performance of employees against which they will be examining or they will be evaluating their performance. That is very essential. Otherwise, they will not be able to understand who is the better performer and who is the average performer or who is the good performer. So a benchmark or a standard is to be set, that against this standard everyone's performance will be evaluated. If the performance is up to that standard, that means he is a good employee. If he is not, his performance is not up to that particular standard which is set by the organization, then it will be assumed that the performance of the person is not up to the mark. So that is establishing performance standard. Next one, communicating standards set for the employee. Now communicating means the employees whose performance are to be evaluated by the organization, this benchmark should be circulated, this benchmark should be communicated to all the employees of the organization, so that they should be aware of that their performance will be evaluated against this particular standard set by the organization. So they should be aware of. It should not happen that the organization has planned a process, they have set a standard, they have set a benchmark, but they have not communicated this benchmark to the employee. So employee will not be aware of that what is the benchmark and against what benchmark their performance is going to be evaluated. So there will be a confusion in the minds of the employee. To avoid that confusion, to avoid the differences, the best option available to the organization is to communicate to the employee that this is the benchmark which is set by the organization, and against this benchmark the organization is going to judge or evaluate your performance. Next one, measuring the actual performance. Then the next stage is that every employee's actual performance is to be measured, that for the last so many months what is his actual performance, that is to be measured. Next one, comparing actual performance with the standard set in the beginning. So standard are set in the advance before the start of evaluation techniques or evaluation process. So the actual performance is to be compared with the performance which is set by the organization. So that is the next stage. In the earlier stage, the actual performance was monitored or was studied, and now in the next stage, comparison of that actual performance is done with the benchmark set or standards set by the organization. Next one, discussion with the concerned employee. Now, whatever his performance is, whether he is able to achieve the standards set by the organization, or he has exceeded the standards set by the organization, or he is unable to achieve the standards set by the organization, the superiors, the managers who is going to evaluate the performance of the employee, he should be discussing about the performance of the employee with the concerned employee, that those who have exceeded the standards set by the organization, they should be congratulated, they should get pat on the back by the manager, that very good, you have exceeded the performance, keep it up. Next, and for this you will definitely be, for this particular effort, you will be rewarded by the organization. So this type of motivational thing can be say communicated, can be discussed with the concerned employee who has exceeded the performance. Now the employee who has who is able to achieve the target or achieve whose performance is able to meet the standards set by the organization, again that person can be motivated, that now this time you have achieved the standard, next time we want you to exceed the target or exceed the standard. If you exceed the standard, these are the benefits available to you from the organization. You will get increase in salary, you will get more benefits, you will get more incentives if you put extra effort and if you exceed the standard set by the organization. Similarly, those who are unable to achieve the target, they can also be motivated during the discussion, that please increase your performance. If you increase your performance, definitely there are better opportunities available to you in the organization. And if you are unable to increase the performance, then some strict action can be taken against you. So that is discussion with the concerned employee. Next one, initiate corrective action. Now, with the help of this management, performance management process, or with the help of the comparison of employees' actual performance with the standards set by the organization comes to know that what type of corrective measures can be taken. Now, corrective measures means that suppose if some of the employee, they fail to say achieve the standard of the organization or standard set by the organization. Now these employees can be thought of deputing them to the training programs. If they are lacking in certain skills, those skills of theirs can be developed with the help of training program. If someone is lacking in another skill, suppose one of the supervisor is lacking in say communication skills, he is unable to communicate the required information with the subordinates, so that person can be say thought of giving communication training. So such type of corrective actions can be taken, and that is the end of performance management process. So it doesn't end at discussion with concerned employee, that performance was set by the organization, targets were set by the organization, then the performance of the employee was evaluated, then the organization came to know that who are the employees who have exceeded the standard performance standard, who are the employee who have not achieved the performance standard. So it doesn't end there. It ends after corrective actions. That by following up the results of the performance appraisal, performance evaluation, the organization should start with corrective actions. Then only it will be beneficial for the organization. That those who need extra training, they should be deputed for those extra training programs. So that was related to performance management process. Now the next one is we will be starting with the next topic, and that topic is related to training and development, T&D. It's a very simple topic, so we will take a very quick look at this topic. We all know what is training and what is development. So we will have a quick look. So training, Dale as Beach, he has given the definition of training. Training is the organized procedure by which people learn, acquire knowledge or skills for a definite purpose. According to Edwin Filippo, training is an organized procedure which sharpens knowledge and skill of an employee for doing a particular job. So when a skill of a person is polished, is sharpened with the help of training program, it is called as training. So the process which sharpens or which enhances the existing skills of the employee, existing knowledge of the employee, can be called as training. Next one is development. Now, Edwin Filippo has given the definition of development. Management development includes the process by which managers and executives acquire not only skills and competency in their present job, but capacities for future managerial tasks. So before we discuss this definition of development, one very common example or common differentiation between training and development is related to that training programs are generally given to the employees who are at the lower level in the organization, whereas development programs are given to the people who are, say, executives or who are managers in the organization. So managerial level training is called as development, whereas the training which is given to the lower level employees is called as training program. So training is generally given to employees at lower level. Development is programs are generally organized for for employees who are at higher levels. So it is mentioned very clearly by Edwin Filippo. Management development programs includes processes by which managers and executives. Here they have not mentioned workers, employees at lower level. What they have mentioned in the definition very clearly, it is a process where managers and executive acquires not only skills and competencies for their present job, but capacities for the future managerial tasks also. So it also helps to develop the potential of the employee, that it is not only concerned with the present job of the manager, it is more concerned with the future role of the manager in the organization. So that is development. Next one, the differentiation between training and development, that we will have a quick look. First one, under training, training focuses on technical, mechanical oriented operations. So as workers, as the lower level employees, they deal with machines. So it deals, so the training program deals with mechanical oriented operations, or it deals with the technical aspects of the operations. Next one, under development, development focuses on theoretical skills and conceptual ideas. Now, how various theories can be implemented in the organization is a part of development program. Suppose theory Y is there. We have read in organizational behavior in the first semester that theory Y is there, theory X is there, theory Z is there. So how these theories can be implemented in the organization, that can be studied in the development program by the managers. Next one, under training, training is concerned with specific job skills and behavior. Specific job skills. A computer operator is to be trained with proper computer skills. A machine operator, now he will be given training how he can be operating the machine properly or efficiently or effectively. So he will be given a specific training only, machine operator. So he will be trained how he can operate his machine in a better manner. He will not be given training of some other machine or some other form of training. So it is specific. Next one, under development, it is concerned with enhancement of general knowledge and understanding of non-technical organizational functions. So it is enhancement of non-technical and general knowledge. General knowledge here, it is concerned with, say, the general functioning of the organization, the general role and responsibility of managerial level jobs. So it is concerned, so the development is concerned with non-technical functions. Next, under training, training is mostly for non-manager, whereas development programs are mostly for managers and executive, that we have already discussed. Next one, training focuses on current job, whereas development prepares for future job, that also we have discussed. Next one, training focuses on short-term gains, development focuses on long-term gains. So training focuses on short-term, very simple, as specific job related training is given to the employee, how the employee can operate the machine in a better manner. So it is short term, it is concerned with present, that presently how a person, how an employee can operate his machine in a better manner. So it talks about present. So it is short term in nature, whereas development programs are long term in nature, because they not only are concerned with the present job of the employee, but they also are concerned with the future role, responsibility and capabilities of employees. So when it is concerned with future, we can say that it is long term in nature, because it is not only concerned with the present job, as we have discussed in training program, that it is only related to the present job, that how at present a employee can operate his machine in a better manner. Here we are talking about how a manager can complete his job or can do his job in a better manner, that means at present, as well as it talks about future. If the manager is promoted to next position, how he will be able to handle that pressure, or in the present job itself, if more responsibilities are given to him, more authority is given to him, how he is going to cope up with that responsibility and authority. So it also talks about future, that is why it is long term in nature. Next one, training is one shot deal, development is a continuous ongoing process. So training is a one shot deal. So machine operator is appointed in the organization. Now this person is given a responsibility that he has to handle or operate a particular machine for 1 year, for 2 years, for 5 years, for 10 years, till the machine is replaced by a newer version of machine. Once a person is trained to operate that machine, till that machine is replaced by some new machine or some new process, the person doesn't require any other type of training, because he is already trained. His role is, his job is that he has to operate a particular machine. At the beginning of his career, at the beginning of the job, when he entered the organization, he was given a training on how to operate that machine. Now, till the machine is there in the organization, no change has been made in the process, then the person doesn't require any sort of another training, because he knows the machine, he has been trained how to operate the machine, and he is aware of that for say 1 year, for 2 year, for 3 year, for 5 year, for 10 years, till the machine is replaced by another machine. If new machine comes in, then yes, the person requires new training. But till the machine is replaced, say for 10 years, for 15 years, for 20 years, if the machine is same in nature, if the machine is same, then the person doesn't require any new type of training. And that is why it is said that the training is one shot deal. Now, next one, whereas development is a continuous process. Why development is a continuous process? Because it talks about future capabilities of the person. So as it talks about future capabilities, it talks about the changing role and responsibility of managerial cadre in the organization. Their role is going to change in future. Their role is undergoing change continuously. So when the role and responsibility of the managerial staff is changing, that means they require continuous development program. So that is why it is continuous in nature. Next one, training may result in enhancement of a particular job skill, whereas development may result in personal growth and development of overall personality. So training may result in enhancement of a particular skill. Particular skill. Now, when the employee joined the organization as a machine operator, he doesn't have skills to operate the machine. After undergoing a training program of 10 days organized by the organization, now the employee has got a skill, a job skill, with which he can operate the machine in a better manner. So it talks about specific skill, how to operate machine. He has developed that. That skill is enhanced because of training program. Whereas development may result in personal growth and development of overall personality. Now, if managers are deputed for various leadership program, communication skill program, or behavioral skills program, or other type decision making program, problem solving programs, so such type of programs can be organized for the managers, and by undergoing these programs, the managers develop their own personal skills too. Now, earlier the manager was lacking in leadership skills, but after undergoing a program, a development program organized by an international institute of management for say 15 days, for 20 days, for a month, now he has developed certain knowledge of leadership skills. Now, when he came back to the organization, now the organization can observe, now he has become a better leader in the organization, better manager in the organization. He has developed his personality. So development may result in personal growth and development of overall personality. Next, under training, training can be classified into two major types. One is on the job training, the other one is off the job training. No such classification is possible for development. So training, very soon we will be seeing what are the on the job training methods, what is off the job training, and what are its methods. So it can be broadly classified into two categories. One category can be called as on the job training. The other category can be called as off the job training. So no such classification is possible in the development programs. Next one, training is the result of organizational initiative, and hence motivation is extrinsic, whereas development program motivation is intrinsic. Now, training is a result of organizational initiative. Now, why it is said that training is result of organizational initiative? So it is very simple. At the beginning of the career of the person, when the employee joins the organization, it is the organization's initiative that before he starts with the job, he should be properly trained for the job. So it is the initiative of the organization. It should not happen that when the person joined as the machine operator, although he is having a degree of a diploma in ITI, he has cleared his ITI exams with first class distinction. He is a very intelligent candidate. So when the organization appointed this candidate as a machine operator, immediately he was given the responsibility to operate a particular machine. And because of that, for few days, till the person became familiar with his job and familiar with the actual machine in the organization, there was more wastages, and his performance or his production also was very slow. Now, why this happened? Because without any training program, immediately the person was sent on the job. So every organization has an initiative that once a person joins the organization, it is the responsibility of the organization to check whether the person can directly be given the responsibility to operate machine, or the person can be sent for some sort of training program, say a week's training program, a 10 days training program, 15 days training program. It depends upon the policy of the organization. So it is the initiative of the organization. So the motivation is extrinsic. Extrinsic is external. Organization is deputing the employee. Employee himself here doesn't want to be trained because he has newly joined the organization. He doesn't know anything in the organization. So whatever the organization has planned for him, he is going to follow those plannings. The organization has planned for him a 10 days training program. He is supposed to undergo that training, and he is going to obey the orders of the organization because he is new to the organization. He doesn't know anything about the organization. So here motivation is external. The organization is forcing him to undergo the training program so that he can develop his skills, and once he develops his skill, he can apply those skills on the job, and with the help of those skills, his performance can be measured, or he can improve his performance. So that is the idea, and that is why the motivation is external in nature. He himself doesn't want that training, but it is the organization which is deputing him for that particular training. So motivation is external. Now, many times in development program, motivation is intrinsic, that is internal. Now, as earlier we had discussed that in training program, the managers can be sent for the development programs, which can be leadership development, which can be problem solving development, which can be say behavioral type of judgment, which can be say how to take better decisions type of a training development program. So these programs can be organized for the development of managerial staff. Now here also, when we talk about that, here in development program, motivation is internal in nature. Internal in nature means here the organization is not forcing. Here, if the managers are showing the capability through their performance, then only the organization is going to depute them for better better development programs. So it is not organized for each and every manager of the organization, only those who are performing well. Because if a manager is to be sent for a development program which is related to say better leadership skills, better problem solving skills, or such type of programs, then the organization has to make a lot of investment in terms of money for deputing that person to that development program. So it is not for each and every manager. It is only for those managers who are performing well on their job and who are showing capabilities of future capabilities, that yes, they are having potential, that they can be good manager for the organization in future, good senior managers for the organization in future. They can play a good general manager's role in future. Now only those who are performing well on their job and who are showing future capabilities in them, future potential in them, those are deputed for these development program. That is why the motivation is internal in nature. In training, we have seen that every new employee is deputed for training program. Motivation is external in nature. Here, every manager is not deputed for say better leadership qualities, better problem solving skills, better communication skills, better how to implement change in the organization, those skills. So these types of skills are not all the managers are not deputed for development programs like this, because huge investment is to be made by the organization, because the fees of these institutes, suppose the manager is to be deputed to complete a executive MBA from IIM Ahmedabad. Now for this particular course of say 1 year 6 months, the fees can be in lakhs. If a person is deputed to say Oxford or Cambridge to undergo a particular training program on say problem solving skills, then there the fees can be more than what is the fees of IIM Ahmedabad or the top institutes of the country. So as the investment is more, all the managers are not given this responsibility, given this facility. They are not deputed to training development programs. Only those who are showing better performance and who are having future potential, those are deputed for these development programs. Next one, training is usually imposed. Development activities are generally voluntary. Training is usually imposed. Imposed means that it is forced. When the employee is joining the organization, he doesn't have the option. He cannot deny that no, I will not be undergoing this training program of 10 days. I want immediate joining as machine operator in the organization. So such power, such authority, the new joinee employee or new joinee machine operator doesn't have. So that is why he has to follow the instructions of the organization. Although he knows the machine operations in and out, he can operate the machine in an effective manner, but still the organization has a policy that every new joinee is to be deputed for a training program of 10 days. Then he has to follow those instructions, he has to follow the order, and he has to undergo that 10-day training. So that is why it is said that training is imposed, is usually imposed, not always, it is usually imposed, whereas development activities are generally voluntary. Now those who are showing better performance, who are showing better capabilities for future jobs in the organization, only those will be deputed for development programs, not all the managers. So that is why development activities are generally voluntary. If a manager is not performing on the job, definitely that person will not be considered for a development program by the organization. Next one, objectives of training, simple objectives to prepare the employees, both new and old, to meet present as well as the changing requirements of the job. So here what is mentioned is to prepare employees, both new and old. So new employee, we have already discussed that new employees are to be given training and then they should be given the responsibility to handle the job. Old employees, here both new and old employees. In an example, we have said that for 10 years, no need for retraining is required if the machine is not replaced by a new machine. So when old employees require training, when their old machine is replaced by a new machine, or when the process of the working, their working process is changed by another process. Earlier the machines were semi-automatic, now machines are automatic. So not only the new employee, but the older employee who were working on the semi-automatic machine, they should also be given the new training program. Next one, to prevent obsolescence. Obsolescence means outdatedness. Now, to prevent outdatedness of an employee, if an employee is not trained on how to operate a automatic machine, his skills will become obsolete or outdated and he will not be of any use to the organization. So that is why training prevents obsolescence. Earlier the employee or the worker or the machine operator was working as a machine operator in the organization for the last 20 years. Now that machine which he was operating was semi-automatic machine. After 20 years, when the machine was replaced by automatic machine, now the moment the machine is replaced with automatic machine, the existing machine operator's skills became obsolete, became outdated. Now, why his skills became outdated? Because his skills were related to semi-automatic machine. Now he require new skills. With the help of those skills, he will be handling or he will be operating the automatic machines too. Now, this person should be given a new training on automatic machines to prevent his outdatedness. Otherwise, the person will become outdated. He will not be of any use to the organization, and the organization will have to remove him. So to avoid this, to avoid outdatedness, the organization gives training to not only the newer employee, but to the older employee also. To impart new entrants the basic knowledge and skills they need to do job. That is one of the objective of training, to impart new entrants. New entrants means new joinees, the people, the employees who have joined the organization as new employee. The basic knowledge and skills they need to do their job. The basic knowledge of the job. Basic knowledge of the job, that means the overall knowledge of the machine, name of the machine, functions of the machine, how the machine is to be operated. All this basic type of information is shared with the new joinee of the in the organization, as well as the person is given training on how to operate that particular machine. Next one, to prepare employee for higher level tasks. Higher level task means that if a employee is there in the organization and he is working as a machine operator, now his next promotion can be, then he becomes supervisor in the organization. Now training not only prepares him for his present job, but his future job also. Future job is a supervisor, that what is the role and responsibility of a supervisor and how he can do the job of a supervisor. Next one, to ensure economical output of required quality. To ensure economical output of required quality. Very important point. Economical output. Economical output means that how the productivity can be increased of the employees. So with the help of training, the productivity of the employee can be increased, as well as the quality of the productive output can also be increased. Earlier, before training, the employee was say the wastage of the employee was more, the quality was not up to the mark. But after undergoing say one training program, two training programs, or more training programs related to the machine operations, now the employee is able to produce more, not only in terms of output but in terms of quality also. The production is of a better quality now, and his wastage has also come down to a very low lower level. So his wastage is, we can say, very less. So that will ensure economical output of required quality. Next one, to build up second line of employee and prepare them to occupy more responsible positions. Second line of employee means that the supervisors should train the machine operators. Once the supervisor retires, the machine operator will be they will be they will be promoted to play the role of supervisor, and then they will be having the responsibility to train the next level of employees. Next one, to ensure smooth and efficient working of a department. When everyone is aware of how to do his job in a better manner, every employee, every operator, every employee in the organization, every worker in the organization is aware of how to do his job effectively. Automatically there will be smooth and effective working of the department. If say 5 workers are there in a department, and out of these 5, 3 are doing their job very efficiently, they know how to do their job, 2 are not having those required skill of doing their job effectively. Now every now and then they are disturbing the other 3, and they are asking them what to do next, what to do next, what to do next, and how to solve this particular problem. So these 3 employees who were concentrating on their work, they have to stop their work and they have to now concentrate on problem solving of these two employees. So this is resulting in, say, it disturbs the smooth working of the department. But what will happen if all the 5 employees, they know their job very well? So everyone is doing their job very well because everyone is trained properly, everyone is having the required skill to do that job properly. So the working of a department is very smooth in nature. So these are certain objectives of the training program. Now we will move on to nature of training. So in nature of training, first point is it is a process of acquiring specific skills which enhances job performance. Again, the point is self-explanatory, no need to explain anything. So we will have a very brief uh, explanation for this. It is a process. So training is a process of acquiring specific skill which enhance job performance. Very simple. Once the person enters the organization, once the person joins the organization, if a person is not comfortable with a required skill, then a person is deputed by the organization to acquire those skills, and with the help of those skills he can be a better employee in the organization because it will enhance his performance. Next one, it is a process of teaching, informing and educating people. So again, it is also self-explanatory. It's a process of teaching, because when the employees are deputed for a training program for a particular skill, there the instructors, they impart training related to that particular skill to the newly employee. That means they are being taught, they are being informed, they are being educated about the required skill. So this is one of the nature of training. Next one, it provides required qualification to the individual in order to perform their job in a better way. Again, very simple in nature. It provides required qualification to the individual. Before being deputed to the training program, the individual was lacking in certain skill. After completing successfully that training program, now he has enhanced the qualification. His qualification is improved. Now he knows how to do his job in a better manner. Now he is more comfortable with the required technical skill. Next one, it provides qualification to employees so that they can perform in positions of greater difficulty and responsibility. How to resolve small say problems which occurs in day-to-day working life. Now earlier, whenever the machine used to have any technical problem, the machine operator used to contact the supervisor, and they used to contact the maintenance department, and maintenance department used to come to the maintenance department used to come, and they used to clear that particular technical problem or solve that particular technical problem. Now small technical problems are being, say, they are being taught in the training program about the newly recruited employee or the existing employee, that instead of reporting every small problem to the supervisor and to the maintenance department, there are certain problems, certain small problems which can be adjusted by the operator himself. Now how to solve those small problems, they are being trained in during the training program. And if they are trained during the training program, it can provide, say, they can perform better, the employees can perform better on the job, because now they need not call or they need not report for every small problem to the supervisor or to the maintenance department. They are being trained properly, so they can solve the small problems which occurs during the course of employment. Next one, it is an act of increasing knowledge and skill. Earlier, the knowledge and skill were less in the employee. After undergoing 15 days of training, definitely there is an improvement in the knowledge and skills of the employee. So that is the nature of the training. Now, as only 5 minutes are remaining, so we will stop here. Tomorrow we will be starting with training need assessment, that why the training is required and how to assess, how to verify the needs of employee for various types of training, that we are going to discuss tomorrow, as well as we will be discussing the off the job training methods and on the job training methods tomorrow. So thank you all for joining today's session. In tomorrow session, we will discuss the types of training and training evaluation methods. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.